Alright guys, I want to share with you a quick framework which you can use to look at synthesis type question. The first thing you should do, right, when you approach synthesis type question is to ask yourself, okay, is the carbon skeleton the same? You know, did you start with 3 carbon and it became 4? Or is there any change, 4 carbon become 5? Or is it 4 carbon become 3? Okay, if carbon skeleton didn't change, right, same number of carbon, then you can skip this next 2 step. All right, but if let's say carbon skeleton has changed, for example, it increased, right, by 1 carbon, you will need to do a step up reaction. To do a step up reaction, right, you either have to find a halogenol-alkane or a carbonyl compound. All right, because we will need to use KCN alcoholic to substitute nitrile group for a halogen, or we can use HCN coal with catalyst to add across the carbonyl. Okay, so you need to ask yourself, is it a step up? If it was, then you will use this 2 step up reactions which we have learned in our syllabus. If there is a decrease in number of carbon, then you need to step down. Okay, step down reaction. Step down reaction, you need to use your idle form if it's only 1 carbon. So you need to look out for the special structure methyl ketone or the secondary alcohol structure. Okay, that looks like this. If you have forgotten, OH and then H here. Okay, so this is the special structure for your secondary alcohol, which will give a positive idle form because you will then kick out this methyl group. Okay, another way to step down, right, is you can cleave off a CC double bond, right? If you need to step down by 1 carbon, you can cleave off a terminal alkene. If not, then maybe a longer chain is also possible to cleave off. Or you can do side chain oxidation. Okay, the only requirement is that the first carbon must have a alpha hydrogen. Okay, so if your carbon skeleton has changed, you will very quickly zoom in on these 2 kind of processes. If not, if there's no change in carbon skeleton, then the next thing you need to look at is how has the functional group changed, or did it simply change position? If, for example, what happened in your question is the functional group simply changed to a more substituted position, you can use the 2-step process, which you will eliminate and then add back the same functional group. Okay, Markovnikov rule will ensure that the functional group substitute on the more substituted carbon. For change of functional group, right, you need to be familiar with reagent and condition. So for example, right, if you want to change from alcohol to RX, how will you do it? PCl5, okay, a very standard way to do it. And how do you change from a halogenol alkane back to an alcohol? You will use sodium hydroxide, aqueous, and heat, okay, to do hydrolysis. Okay, finally, right, the last point you want to take note is that has the number of functional group increased or decreased? Okay, to decrease the functional group is actually very simple. You just need to eliminate whatever functional group it is and then just reduce it to alkane. There you already got rid of the functional group. But if let's say the number of functional group has increased, then you probably need to consider using HCN if there's a step up reaction involved. Okay, or you can add a aqueous halogen, like for example, right, Br2AQ, because if you add this across a CC double bond, right, you get 2 functional group, which is one is a OH hydroxy and one is a halogen. So you increase the number of functional group by adding aqueous halogen. All right, so that is a very quick kind of thought process for synthesis type question. Basically, two main things. Number one, did the carbon skeleton change? If so, how did it change? Increase or decrease? All right. Then the second thing is, did the functional group shift position or simply change a functional group? Or is there an increase or decrease in functional group? Okay. Most of the synthesis type question falls into these two categories. All right. 80% of synthesis question can be done just asking yourself this question. Okay, in the next part, I will show you an example of how we do this synthesis questions. Stay tuned to part 2.